So, have you ever had a negative thought or a really repetitive thought, and you wondered, why am I having this? I wish this would just go away. If only this thought would go away, all my problems would be solved. I'd be happy again. Everything would be great. There's no reason for me to have these thoughts. Why can't they just go away? Well, we're here to introduce a topic that's very, very important on the road to recovery of any sort, and that is the idea that your negative thoughts and your negative feelings are actually serving you, and they're helping you in certain ways. So welcome to another Inner Solutions video. My name is Enes.
Hey, I'm Jim.
And we make videos about mental health and various techniques and practices that you can do to feel better. And as I mentioned, today's video is about how our negative thoughts and feelings are actually serving us.
100%. Let's say you're an athlete. You miss the big shot in the big game, and you just can't let it go for the next couple weeks. And so every night you dream and you think about, oh, God, if I could just do that again, or man, I should have worked harder during practice and anything like that. Now, after a while, if that sticks with you as time passes on, but you're still having these thoughts, you're going to become really resentful towards them, and you're going to want to shove them away. You might try distracting yourself. You might try putting something else in your head. But unfortunately, that's not going to change. And the reason for that is you're not quite understanding why this thought is happening. Thoughts and different parts of us act to protect us from feeling something that we don't want to feel. So when you missed that shot, you probably felt extraordinarily sad. You might have felt like you let the whole team down. You might have felt like a failure. You might have felt like you had no future. Well, when you frame it like that and you realize that this part of you is ruminating on this thought and telling you to prepare more and telling you to be ready next time and telling you that you need to work harder, and that it's doing that because its intention is to help you not feel that way again, to protect you from feeling this feeling that was awful, then you start to reframe the way you're looking at these negative thoughts. And that's what we're making this video, is to really help the misunderstood part of our system, the negative thoughts that get a bad rap, and to help people understand why they're doing it.
That's a really good example, because yeah, when you're in that moment of thinking and thinking and thinking about how you missed the shot, it might be easy to say, if I didn't have these thoughts, everything would be better. But I would say that if you got rid of those thoughts entirely, then what will motivate you to be a better player? See, when we have thoughts that are overly negative or overly repetitive, it can seem like they are just totally bad and they don't serve us in any way whatsoever. But oftentimes what they represent is some deeper yearning, some deeper desire. So in the basketball example, when you miss that shot, that thought of why did I miss that shot? Why didn't I do it differently? That can actually motivate you to be a better player down the road. So it's not about getting rid of that thought entirely. It's more about changing the relationship you have with it so that you understand why you're thinking that, and then just simmering it down a bit. Instead of pushing that thought away entirely, maybe just decreasing the intensity. Another example is, let's say that you are driving. Many people, when they drive, they might have these rather odd flashes in their mind. They might suddenly imagine swerving off the road or going off the bridge or another car coming. And then you might get really anxious when you have these kind of scary images flash through your mind when you're driving. And it might be so intense that it actually distracts you and can actually cause an accident. Now, what's happening is there's a part of you that's coming up trying to help you with good intentions, wanting to help you be aware of the options so that you don't go off the road, so that you don't hit that car. And you're having these thoughts to be a better driver, but they're just a little too intense. So again, it's not about just getting rid of them entirely. It's more about changing the relationship you have with them so that you know why you're having these thoughts, and then having a deal to where you can decrease the intensity of them to where they're not overwhelming anymore, but they're still serving their purpose.
Yeah, a lot of people think that if they're having ruminating thoughts or they're losing sleep, that there's something in their brain that's just dysfunctional. And it's not that something in your brain is dysfunctional at all. Your brain is wired to point out points of potential hurt, potential threat, and things like that. So these ruminating thoughts are, it's useful to think of them as if you could take them out of your body and have them as a friend. The intention is really pure of them. The intention is to keep you prepared, to keep you safe, to keep you from feeling things you don't want to feel: shame, embarrassment, pain, and hurt. So how would you deal with a friend who maybe was a little overbearing, who maybe was saying, man, you should have gone to practice more often, you should have worked harder, you should have done this, man, but they really care about you. And that's really the key to this, is knowing that this part of you that is putting these ruminating thoughts, which seem negative, into your head, its intention is really pure. But just like that friend, the method that it's using to communicate with you is difficult and sucks, and it's becoming overwhelming. So it's useful to think of it like that, so that you can treat this part of you like you would that friend. How would you negotiate with a friend whose intention is pure, but whose method is a little overbearing? If you tried to push them away or shove them away, that probably wouldn't work so much. If you tried to yell at them or scream at them, it probably wouldn't work so much. It wouldn't harbor or cultivate that friendship. What you want to do is talk to them with a lot of compassion and understanding, and be honest about it. And don't have to go with some black or white thinking these thoughts just need to turn off, because you don't want them to turn off. You want to be prepared for next time. That's what learning is. It's falling, making a mistake, and taking the lesson. What you want to do is, like Ennis said, be able to negotiate down the volume and the intensity of the thoughts. And that comes from doing some gentle, compassionate inner negotiating, like Ennis was saying. So Ennis, what does that sound like if somebody were to do that with themselves?
Yeah, so the process is pretty simple. First, you get clear on what are the negative thoughts that you are thinking. And then you get clear on how they could be serving you. If it's the overly critical thoughts, then they're serving you in the sense that they're motivating you to be better, to take different actions. If they are the kind of dangerous signal thoughts, then they're motivating you to avoid that scenario, to be safe. Pretty much any negative thought you could list, I could point to some way that it's serving you, some good intention that's behind it. So it's to the listener, it's your job to find those good intentions. What are the positive things behind that negative thought that are serving you? And then negotiate. See if you would want to lower that intensity and how much you would like to lower it. For example, if you are driving and you keep having these flashes of negative imagery, and you want to turn that down, but still have your brain let you know of any danger that it sees, you can literally make that request. You can say, hey, brain, I would like you to please turn down the intensity of these thoughts, but I promise you I will still be vigilant. It will still be enough to keep us on track, to keep us going. And this does a couple things. Number one, it takes away the resistance to that thought.
Right.
It makes it from an enemy to a friend. And that takes you a long way toward getting over this. When you stop resisting it so much and seeing it as just a total enemy, it opens the door to further understanding of why you're having these thoughts, forgiving those parts of you that are maybe troublesome. And furthermore, it's just giving you the ability to actually not be overwhelmed and not be so caught up in those thoughts to the point where they're having the opposite effect. And in terms of just summarizing that, again, step one, get clear on the negative thoughts you're thinking. Step two, get clear on what those negative thoughts are doing for you, how those negative thoughts are serving you. And then step three, negotiate. Decide, how intense do you want these to be? Do you want them to be at a 10% intensity? Do you want them to be at a 20% intensity? How low do you want that volume to drop? And you might say 0 at first, but as you become more and more aware of how these negative thoughts are serving you, you'll see that when they're in their extreme form, they're going to cause a lot of damage. But when they're in their more subtle forms, that 10%, 20% intensity, it can actually be quite helpful. It can be quite a valuable part of your overall system.
Yeah, again, that's what learning is. You have to feel some kind of pain, and then you want to extract that lesson. And where it becomes problematic is when there's just this overwhelming rumination that's distracting and kind of emotionally jarring to you. So meeting that, understanding there's a part of you inside that it's built this thought pattern to put these warnings in front of you or put these alerts in front of you to prevent you from repeating the same mistake and feeling the same pain. And so it's your job as kind of the head of your inner system, as the head of the inner family, we like to call it, to understand that, number one, you don't want to push out these parts. You don't want to shut them down, just like you wouldn't want to if you were the father or mother of a real family and these were your children or your relatives. You want to work with them to negotiate, to reassure them that you're here, you've heard them, you completely get the message, but that the method they're using to communicate with you is just a little too overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And that'll help you reframe how you look at all these parts of your system, so that instead of fighting and having this inner conflict, you're working with yourself and you're working with your system to create harmony, to create alignment, to create a inner family or inner team that's all moving forward in the same direction. Because ultimately, this is all happening because they're trying to do what they think is best for you. They just need a little guidance. Beyond that, we're Inner Solutions. Again, this is Ennis. I'm Jim. It's important to remember, guys, that no matter where you are, no matter how long you've been suffering, no matter whatever's going on in your head or your body, you're never stuck. You might just need some support. Please like and subscribe our channel here. We're always uploading new resources. And for Ennis, I'm Jim. We're Inner Solutions. Thank you, guys, and good mental health to you.